clutch the pearls? What a sneaky thing to do. Welcome, welcome. I am Dena, and you're tuned into another discussion with Dena. Well. If you believe Biden, when he invited Trump to the White House and promised a smooth transition from one administration to another, if you believe that, I suggest you think again, because you thought wrong. The only thing smooth is how the Biden administration is quietly selling off parts of the border wall before the Trump administration takes office. My. It's been reported that the current administration is selling or auctioning off parts of the already purchased border wall that has been sitting and rusting since the previous Trump administration. This is being reported by the Daily News. The Biden administration is spending their final weeks in office quietly clearing away unused southern border wall materials to put up for auction, a move that is categorized by some lawmakers as an apparent ploy to sabotage President Donald Trump in his goal, which is to secure the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, there has been alarming footage that was taken by a U.S. Customs and Border agent. It has captured numerous flatbed trucks hauling away dismantled sections of the steel wall near Tucson, Arizona, which is a hot spot for illegal crossings. Now, the agent estimates that half a mile worth of parts are being removed every day. He says the goal is to move all of it off the border before Christmas. Arizona Border Patrol agent tells this to the Daily Wire. Wow. The agent who spoke under the condition of anonymity. And he said that they just started taking all the wall that was not used, which is still totally good and usable. And they started taking it northbound. The agent said they're pulling it all off the border. Wow. And the three sections that he said was Tucson, the Jaws, and 3 Point. But clutch the pearls, what a sneaky thing for them to do. Is this part of the smooth transition process, Mr. Biden? The government contractor, DP Trucking LLC, is transporting the pieces of the wall north on Interstate 19 to Pinal Air Park in Marana, Arizona, where it is being auctioned through Gov'T, which is a surplus government equipment auction marketplace. Harold Lambert, the owner of this trucking company, confirmed to the Daily Wire in a phone call that his company is transporting the unused border wall sections north from the construction sites. And he said that he is unable to disclose any further information about the work that is being done. Now, mind you, funding for the border wall, the money that was needed, that was funded, it was allocated from Congress to Trump during his first administrations. So that money was said to be for the purpose of building the wall. That it was also used, the money in that fund was used for other things. It was reallocated. Now, this is what the Biden administration did. They didn't continue building the wall. In fact, it was just completely stopped, and the material just sitting there collecting rust. Materials that have remained untouched at the border since President Joe Biden took office in 2021. All of a sudden, the Biden administration feels the desperate need now to hurry along and have this material sold. Now, at this point, and it is currently said to be listed at auction with the opening bid for the wall at $5. Yes, you heard me right. $5 for these huge, enormous pieces of steel. Imagine what it will cost the taxpayers, because steel is quite expensive. That means you and me, taxpayers, will have to pay a very hefty price in order for the Trump administration to have to go out, repurchase, replace, and reconstruct these same border walls all over again. Not to mention the process of having to go back through Congress and have them all agree, if they should, on a new funding bill that will allocate those funds to the Trump administration once again to repurchase all of this highly expensive material that is needed all over again to replace and reconstruct the same walls that are being sold off by the Biden administration at this very moment. It will certainly be significantly costly and definitely delay progress on one of Trump's campaign promises for the border. Now, this auction website, it shows that sales occurred as recently as December 4th for precisely the types of materials being pulled off of the border. Gov'T has an online auction set for December 11th as well as December 18th. Now, for more of the border wall material, which is listed on the company's website at 32.91 by 7.91 feet steel bollard wall sections with grout. The bidding for each section of wall panel is set to begin at only $5, as I've stated before, and it is listed on the website. Here, take a look. Here's how it's listed. Are we dealing with tit for tat, Mr. Biden? Now, some estimate the current cost to replace these border wall materials can be tripled, or even as much as 5 times the cost that was paid originally for the current wall that is being sold now for pennies on the dollars. Yep, you heard me right. And with the price of steel, somebody is about to get very rich. Anybody know somebody with a truck? A person can really make a small fortune reselling these same pieces. Now, do you think someone can expect a huge pile of coal in his stockings this year? Representative Eli Crane, whose congressional district borders the Pennies airport where the material is being sold, said the Biden administration is purposefully hamstringing Trump before he even takes office. The Biden administration is well aware they shouldn't have reversed the construction of the border wall, he said. And if it's true, they're purposely hamstringing an incoming president. It wouldn't be shocking, he said. But why would they want to see President Trump succeed with policies they aggressively sabotage? The longtime Border Patrol agent has seen political fights play out over the border before and believes that Biden administration is trying to stymie Trump's ability to quickly secure the border as soon as he returns to office. When Trump comes back and he wants to start the border wall all over again, the whole entire funding fight is gonna have to occur again. This is what the agent said, and that's their play. He's gonna have to fight for this all over again. Are we still talking about this smooth transition? Because I would hate to have to see what a harsh one looked like. Perhaps the outgoing administration is just playing get back, or is it just how Biden is and he's just showing us his true colors like the Grinch? He's tooting it over and patting a final au revoir, buongiorno, adieu to his opponent and not bothering to maintain his apparent unethical presidential deportment as he bids farewell to all of the American public. If so, I do say, sir, it is quite expected, even though a bit disingenuous. But have you no shame, sir, for your conduct after your bold interpolation about doing whatever is best for this country? Do you think this will contribute to smooth transitioning, sir? I beg your pardon. So it is safe to say that the saga continues. And what does President-elect Trump, who made it clear during his campaign that he intends to finish construction of this border wall, what does he think about this matter? Well, President-elect Donald Trump has asked the Biden administration to stop and halt the selling off of unused border wall materials, especially at such a discounted rate, which he called almost a criminal act. Trump said the auctions would cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars to repurchase the large steel bollards and concrete. He called on President Biden to please stop selling the wall and suggested his team would obtain a restraining order to halt the sales. He is also working with Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and other Texas leaders to reacquire this material.
One of the things I'd like to ask the Biden administration, as you probably heard, there are two events that took place. We're talking about a friendly takeover, a friendly transition, as they like to say. This is a friendly transition, and it is, but there are two events that took place that I think are very terrible. One is that if people don't come back to work, come back into the office, they're going to be dismissed. And somebody in the Biden administration gave a 5-year waiver of that so that for 5 years, people don't have to come back into the office. It involved 49,000 people. For 5 years, they don't have to go. They just signed this thing. It's ridiculous. So it was like a gift to a union, and we're going to obviously be in court to stop it. The other thing is really terrible. We spent a tremendous amount of money on building the wall. The wall was designed specifically by the Border Patrol because it's very hard to climb. They need to have see-through. They need it to be steel because you can't cut. It's very powerful steel. It's very hard steel. It's a special type of steel, but very, very hard to cut. Inside the steel, as you know, we pour concrete, and that's a grade 10 concrete, which is a very strong concrete, very as though you were building about a 60-story building. It's very powerful concrete. Today, what you can do with concrete is incredible. So we have a very strong concrete, and then we have a rebar. We put rebar inside the concrete, and the rebar likewise is very hard to cut. So it's a very expensive process, very expensive wall. And then we put a anti-climb plate on the top. You saw that. And I didn't like the look of it. But then when I watched, we had people testing. We had mountain climbers actually testing. And they were not able to get over the anti-climb plate. So I said, all right, I guess we're going to put it on. That plate on top, which I never loved the look of it, but it works so unbelievably well. You have to do it. So we spent a lot of money on building it, and we have hundreds of miles that we put up. A lot of people don't realize, but we did 571 miles of wall. That's why we had such good records, in addition to the fact that Mexico helped us with their military. They kept people out, and they were actually very good under the past leader. But now we ordered an additional 200 miles of wall. It's very expensive. And now it's about double the price of what it would have been 6 years ago. And the administration is trying to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar, knowing that we're getting ready to put it up. And what they're doing is really an act. It's almost a criminal act. They know we're going to use it. And if we don't have it, we're going to have to rebuild it. And it'll cost double what it cost years ago. And that's hundreds of millions of dollars, because you're talking about a lot of wall. I built much more than I said I was going to build. But then after it was built, I said, we can do some more, because it's sort of like water, people flow through. And that will pretty much really take care of it. And what happened is they just, as you see, they're trying to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar. And that's really, that has nothing to do with a smooth transition. That has to do with people really trying to stop our nation. And all it means really is that we're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars more, not even talking about the time. The time would be pretty long, but we'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars more on building the same wall that we already have. And people have already come back to us that have deals at 5 cents and 4 cents, and one guy at 3 cents on the dollar. And they offered to sell it back to us at more money than it cost us to build substantially. Can you believe it? So they make a deal with the United States to buy it for pennies. And then they call us and they say, do you want to buy it back? We'll sell it back to you for hundreds of dollars a foot. Hundreds of dollars, from pennies to hundreds of dollars a foot. And we can't let this take place. Now we're going to go. I spoke with the Attorney General of Texas. I spoke to the senators of Texas. I spoke to a lot of people, and hopefully they'll be able to stop. We're going to be, having a restraining order. But just think about how ridiculous it is. And this is just people that don't want this country to succeed. And this has nothing to do with Democrat or Republican. This has to do with common sense. We won on common sense, and this is maybe one of the most egregious examples I've seen. So the people that are buying it or trying to buy it are trying to make a deal with us to sell it back at hundreds of times more than we paid. And this is all because the Democrats. So I'm asking today Joe Biden to please stop selling the wall. We're going to use that to create a strong barrier. And it worked. That's why our numbers were so good. It really worked, and it worked well. And it's very expensive to do. And I'm asking Joe Biden to stop his people from giving it away. It's something that people can't even believe is happening. So hopefully Joe will be able to stop it.
Once again, the political, egotistical, narcissistic, self-absorbed tomfoolery continues on in this political arena. Now share with me what your thoughts are on this particular issue. Be sure to subscribe and leave me your comments. And join me next time for another discussion with Dena. Ta-ta!
This concludes your daily discussions with Dena. Join us Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m. Like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment.